Join me as I dive into the creepiest Christmas horror stories that will give me nightmares. Let's see if I can make it through without getting too freaked out. The holiday season is upon us, and with it comes the spirit of joy, giving, and terror. That's right, I'm talking about Christmas horror stories. This niche might seem oxymoronic, but trust me, it's a fascinating and chilling subgenre that will make you rethink the festive atmosphere. As we navigate the snowy streets, decked out in twinkling lights and wreaths, it's easy to overlook the eerie undertones that lurk beneath the surface. The silence of a winter's night, the isolation of being snowed in, and the darkness that creeps in when the fireplaces fade. All of these elements can create the perfect backdrop for a horror story. The juxtaposition of warm, cozy sentiments with the cold, dark unknown is what makes Christmas horror so captivating. It's a season where the lines between reality and fantasy blur, and the supernatural can seep into our daily lives. Take, for instance, the tradition of telling ghost stories by the fireplace, a custom that dates back centuries. It's a testament to our morbid curiosity and the thrill of being scared, especially during a time meant to be merry and bright. But what is it about Christmas that makes it so conducive to horror? Is it the way the snowflakes resemble tiny, delicate bones? Or the way the shadows cast by the twinkling lights seem to move of their own accord? Perhaps it's the sense of vulnerability that comes with being trapped indoors, waiting for the storm to pass. Whatever the reason, one thing is certain. Christmas horror stories have a way of getting under our skin, making us question the very fabric of the season. Get ready, because I'm about to share a seriously chilling Christmas horror story that will leave you sleeping with the lights on. From haunted snowmen to demonic Santas, these tales will make you rethink the festive atmosphere and perhaps even wonder if that jolly old elf in the red suit is more sinister than we think. The story that stands out above all others is so terrifying and bone-chilling that it will haunt your dreams for weeks to come. Imagine a world where the festive lights and decorations are not just trinkets, but actual conduits for dark energy. Each twinkling bulb, each delicate bauble, hums with an unnatural frequency, their glow flickering in a rhythm that feels too deliberate to be random. Shadows twist and stretch unnaturally under their light, and if you watch long enough, you might swear they're moving with purpose. The garland that coils around your staircase isn't just a festive adornment. It's a serpent in waiting, coiled and ready to strike. The story begins with the Holloway family, an unassuming household on the edge of town. Their home, draped in a dazzling array of Christmas lights, was the envy of the neighborhood. People would drive for miles around every December to marvel at the spectacle. But this year, something was different. The lights flickered in a way that made passers-by uneasy. Children cried in their cars. Dogs whimpered and refused to walk past the house. Inside, the family's youngest daughter, Emily, claimed she could hear whispering coming from the ornaments on the tree. Her parents dismissed it as an overactive imagination, until the night the tree moved. It was subtle at first. The lights would shift from one side of the tree to the other, as though unseen hands were rearranging them. The porcelain angels tilted their heads, their glassy eyes no longer fixed forward, but following anyone who walked by. Emily swore she heard the faint sound of tiny footsteps pattering across the hardwood floors at night. Her brother Lucas laughed it off until he woke up one night to find his collection of nutcrackers lined up at the foot of his bed, their jaws open wide in a silent scream. The Christmas carols, once a source of warmth and nostalgia, had become an oppressive presence. Each night the music would start on its own, echoing from the old record player in the living room. The songs had always been familiar, but now there was something wrong with the melody. Notes hung too long in the air, creating an unnatural dissonance. New verses emerged, darker ones, sung in a voice that didn't belong to anyone in the family. The lyrics spoke of forgotten kings and the child with the hollow gaze who walks among us still. One night, Mr. Holloway awoke to the sound of jingling bells coming from the hallway. He assumed it was the cat playing with the decorations. But when he reached the hallway, he saw it, a figure at the end of the hall, barely visible in the glow of the flickering Christmas lights. It was small, no taller than Emily, but its head was misshapen, its limbs too long. It stood motionless, watching him. His breath caught in his throat, his heart pounding so hard he thought it would break his ribs. He took a step forward, and the figure darted into Emily's room. He ran after it, his fear now a primal surge of adrenaline. Bursting into her room, he found Emily sitting upright in bed, her eyes wide with terror. "Daddy," she whispered, "it's under the bed." He knelt, peering into the darkness beneath. For a moment, he saw nothing but shadows. But then 2 eyes blinked back at him, reflective, like an animal's. A low growl echoed from the depths, and the eyes moved closer. He pulled Emily from the bed and ran, heart thundering in his chest as the growl rose to a snarl behind him. The Holloways fled the house that night, but the house didn't stay quiet. Neighbors reported seeing figures moving behind the frosted windows, shadowy shapes pacing from room to room. The lights flickered on and off at odd hours, and the music played, though no one was there to hear it. One neighbor swore she saw a porcelain angel's face pressed against the window, its hollow eyes following her as she walked past. It's a narrative that will make you question the essence of the holiday season and leave you checking your ornaments twice, for more than just the perfect decoration. Have you ever noticed the eyes of the porcelain angels? They're too lifelike, their glassy gazes tracking your every movement. The nutcrackers stand guard, rigid but alert, their painted smiles too wide, their jaws too sharp. And if you're alone and quiet enough, you might hear the faintest creak from the direction of your mantel, as if one of them has shifted ever so slightly. Was it just your imagination? Or did the toy soldier's head just turn, ever so slowly, to face you? As I sit here, recounting the tales that have left me shivering in fear, I'm reminded of the intricate dance between the festive and the terrifying. It's a delicate balance that, when executed correctly, can yield some of the most captivating stories out there. There's something uniquely unsettling about horror that hides behind the mask of joy. The warmth of Christmas lights becomes an eerie glow. The jolly laughter of carolers morphs into something hollow and haunting. The familiar becomes the foreign, and suddenly, nothing feels safe. And so, as we bid farewell to this spine-tingling journey, I want to leave you with a thought. Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of Christmas horror stories is not the monsters or the ghosts, but the realization that the most terrifying entity of all might be the darkness lurking within ourselves. After all, what's more frightening? The shadow at the end of the hall, or the voice in your mind that tells you to go and see what it is? The whispers came not from outside, but from within. They're the same whispers that make you reach for the attic's pull string in the dead of night, even though you're certain you're alone in the house. They're the reason you'll glance over your shoulder as you place the last present under the tree, convinced, just for a moment, that someone is standing behind you. Because in the end, Christmas isn't just a season of giving, it's a season of believing. And sometimes, what we believe in isn't Santa Claus, but something far older, far hungrier, and far less forgiving. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the heart of Christmas horror. If you've got a chilling holiday tale, leave it in the comments below. And if you're craving more spine-tingling content, check out our next video, where we'll dive into even more terrifying tales that'll leave you sleeping with the lights on.